What's going on, Colts Nation? I appreciate you joining me as today is the day where people start reporting for training camp, right? First practice is going to be tomorrow, but the veterans are reporting to Westfield today. We are officially in football season, so welcome to all Colts fans coming into the 2025 season. Feels good to finally be here. Regular season right around the corner. I believe we have, 7 more Sundays until football is officially back for real, for real. So, but what we're talking about here, we've been talking about all the different positions, and we still have a position group to go. We're going to do the secondary, and that video is either going to be later today, might be tomorrow. But we're still going to talk about the secondary, and but just wanted to talk about something that came out from JJ Stankovich yesterday. An article that he put out. He had a conversation with new principal owner Carly Ursay Gordon, and a lot of good stuff in here. Like, I've already liked the things that the girls are about, like the things that you always hear from them, and the things that you heard from them in their introductory press conference. It was just, I liked what I heard. I liked their mindset, right? Like the different things that they have to that they tell themselves, right? The different stories that they know, that kind of guide kind of the vision that they have, and kind of the discipline that they have, and that's really a lot of what she talked about, right? There's something, I can't remember exactly what it was called. I'm trying to find it in real time here, but there's some sort of story. Oh, here it is. From Greek mythology, the story of the ship of Theseus, Theseus, right? And they kind of go into detail later about what that is, because it's kind of important to what she's talking about. And we'll talk about that a little bit. But there was a really good quote here where she said, quote, "I know it could be misunderstood to say I don't like talking about just about winning. I like talking about being the best. I feel like to say win is just more outcome oriented. It's more outcome oriented, more short term. To me, it's about being the best." And again, I love that mindset. Separating the two, I think that's a really good step in the right direction. And I think, like, a different way to frame it, right? Kind of what she's talking about is that the consistency that you bring day in, day out to try to be the best at what you're doing, right? Like the guys on the team. You have some of these defensive tackles aren't going to come in and be better than Grover Stewart and DeForest Buckner, but you put in the work every day to eventually get to that point, right? Like putting in the work, being the best pro possible, and it starts from the top down. That's what I like the most. The successful organizations have good leadership and a good message trickling down into the front office and giving them direction, and to the coaching staff and to the players, and everybody being on the same page. It's such a massive part of just having success in any business, right? Even for my job, right? Like, I'm a manager where I work. There's 9 or 10 of us, and just the things that I've learned in the time that I've been doing it, like there's so much attention to detail, and again, day to day consistency, right? Showing up every day, to really continue to make it work as good as it could possibly work. So when you're looking at the Colts and you're looking at it going forward, like this is the kind of stuff. This is all I've wanted as a football team, is from the top, like the Eagles, bro. From the top down, the message is the same. They know who they are. They know what their identity is. They know the players that they need on their team, and they kind of like they have their system figured out. And I think the girls are going to come in and put a really good system in place between the three of them, right? All three of them being, kind of divided up into the things that they've spent time learning over time to be in the position to take over the franchise, right? Like, Carly Ursay Gordon is the principal owner, and seemingly the one that's going to be more involved with, right, the personnel and the coaching, and things like that, because she's been on the sideline since the Chuck Pagano era. So overall, really like, just continuing to like the things that she's about, her mindset, again, the things that she tells herself that kind of guide her mindset in the decisions that she makes in the direction that the franchise is going to go. Now, they were talking about the story I was telling you about, the Greek mythology stuff, right? And kind of what that is. And it's about a ship, or I guess two different explorers that had their own ships, a Norwegian and a Brit, and they were going to the same place, but they were going to the South Pole, but they did it in two different ways, right? And this is what she's talking about here, and like the meaning behind it is kind of what she's talking about here, where she says, quote, even when the weather was good and there was a temptation, let's just go 15 more miles today. They said nope. And here she's talking about the Norwegians. They said nope. This is how we mapped it out. Right. So they were going to stay on the course. They're not, whatever they said they were going to do, they're staying disciplined to exactly what they said they were going to do. Right. Versus the other guy, the Brit. Right. He had no discipline. And this is still part of her quote, versus the other guy. He had no discipline and he was just some lord from Britain, gave me all this money to be able to say we got there first. So I don't know if that was her exact quote, if that's a little bit of a typo. That one, doesn't really, even reading it through a second time now, it feels like something's wrong there. But you kind of get the gist, right? Like, the Brit tried to get there first, and because of that, and because of the way they went off what they were going to do, whatever happened during their expedition. Well, him and four other members of the team end up dying on the expedition, and the Norwegian, right, he still ends up reaching the South Pole first, and his entire team made it back from Antarctica alive. So he stayed disciplined to his plan. That quote from Carly Ursay Gordon, he stayed disciplined to his plan, right? So that's important as we go forward. They're not going to be the types to just make an emotional decision. They're going to be the types that keep to exactly, their plan, their vision, what they think is best for the team. They're going to stay disciplined in that. I have faith in that. So that, going forward, exactly the kind of stuff that you want to hear. Right. So as you continue to go down here, they end up talking about Anthony Richardson a little bit, and gives good insight kind of where the team is on Anthony Richardson and how they feel about Anthony Richardson, where she said, quote, where he is in his career and in his deal as a rookie, we still have time. He still has time to prove it. So there's definitely, like, you can tell just by her saying that, like, they want him to have the opportunity to prove it. And she even says, you got to bring in competition, right? Bring a sense of urgency. Quote, bring a sense of urgency, and nothing brings a sense of urgency more than competition. So bringing that in, an important part of what they're setting up. And I assume, internally, just like a lot of fans, hoping that Anthony Richardson is going to end up working out and he'll be able to figure it out. Then, of course, Shane Steichen a little while back said, when you talk football with her, she understands it. She gets it. She understands, right? There's really no issue there. They kind of talk about how, when she started doing it, there were coaches. And there's one specific, they didn't name here, but, there was a coach at some point that, didn't really like her being around at first. But then once, it was probably the same with everybody. Once everybody realized that she's just there to learn, she wasn't trying to get in the way. She wasn't trying to make decisions or make life hard for anybody. If anything, she just wanted to help people, which is one of the things that she said here. But she said that, quote, that's why I started doing it, because it's like a black box. Nobody could tell me what they did, right? So she couldn't learn on the outside, so she got to the inside, and she had the headset on. She was around the coaches a lot, and doing that whole thing to learn the game over time, right? So that of course, is going to pay dividends. Her actually being able to understand the game is huge. You want an owner that actually knows football, and if you don't, you really got to have people in your front office taking care of the football decisions that really know football. But luckily, our owners, going from Jim Irsay, who did everything from the bottom up, everything for the Colts for 54 years. And he knew football. Now you have his daughters taking over, and they know ball too. So from that aspect, we're still chilling. But then again, as we continue to go along here, another thing that I really like to hear, kind of, going along with how they think, right? How the daughters think and how driven they are and the discipline that they'll come with. There's a good quote here. She says, quote, if you're not striving, it's like when you set goals. You want to set a goal that if they were all safe and easy, then it's as if you're not growing. Your life would be kind of boring and maybe just be safe. It'd be, what'd you do? Oh, I stayed safe and survived. But it's like, who wants to just survive and just exist? Don't you want to thrive and live? So that mindset for what they're doing is going to be really good, right? And it's a good mindset for anybody to have, like just continuing to learn, continuing to evolve as people, right? Like, that's like the objective of life, right? To create relationships and leave a positive impact on the people you're around and the environment. Any environment you go into, you want to make a positive impact, right? Those are definitely parts of life. But really, like in terms of living, right, setting goals and working towards goals, and enjoying the journey along the way, right? That's an important part of it that people don't talk about. But definitely falling in love with the process along the way of striving for your goals and trying to find fulfillment. And so that mindset, them having that mindset, is something that I like, and that's not surprising. With the whole kicking the stigma thing, it doesn't surprise me one bit that is kind of how they think about things, right? Gratitude, probably a big thing in their lives. It should be a big thing in anybody's life, right? Talking about kicking the stigma, something that, anytime I'm feeling a little off, I start thinking about things that I'm grateful for, right? Just quick note there. Always, feeling a little off, just think about things you're grateful for, whether it's family, whether it's how far you've come from whatever situations, whatever it may be. Just think about anything you're grateful for. But as we continue to go on here, they of course end up talking about, the transition, now that, Jim passed away and they're taking over and, what that's going to look like. And, she's confident, as I assume they would be. They've been, around the organization for a long time. They've been preparing for this for a long time. She seems very confident that them working together in the different areas that they're going to be taking care of the team is going to be a positive thing, that they can bounce ideas off each other. They can, they all have different strengths and weaknesses, and they can, balance out everything as they go. So I think, completely agree with her from that aspect. Think that's going to be really good. And then looks like, yeah, that was pretty much the end of it there. The last quote here, quote, that is the vision and mission. As long as we stay true to the core of what's in our soul, it can be. And that's talking about, once again, getting the ship to where you're trying to go, right? Replacing any boards that you need to along the way to keep it afloat, which in this case, the boards are the coaches and players, and swapping out whatever you need to from year to year, because that's how the NFL works, but continuing to keep the ship afloat. And that's her role. Her, and then the other daughters, that's their role going into the future, is figuring out how to keep plugging those holes and replacing the planks in that ship, right? That was the metaphor that this article is built on. And again, shout out to JJ Stankovic, works for the Colts. Did a really good job putting this together. This was much more than I thought it was going to be completely honest with you. But as we go into training camp, I think this is a really insightful read. If you want to get more in depth, the things that I may not have hit on, again, it's very long. Didn't want to go too detailed to make this too crazy, but it is on the Colts website. You can find it on Colts Twitter. They probably put it on their Facebook. You can find a link that'll take you to the Colts website. But it's up there for you guys. And of course, if you enjoy the content, just make sure to hit the like button. Make sure you're subscribed with notifications on so you continue to get notified anytime we drop any content on this channel. Of course, I appreciate you stopping by for another video. And as always, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and go Colts.